Next time on Crashed While Loading, Colombia is infested with cocaine hippos. Hackers ruin, allegedly, Call of Duty Warzone tournament with $250,000 on the line. Xbox Live goes up and down. And Vegeta spends the next 5 episodes shouting at Halo's Xbox 360 server shutting down next time on Crashed While Loading Z.
This is Crashed While Loading, the fusion of entertainment and information.
Hello there.
Weekly updates and opinions on video games,
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
movies,
I'm about to do to you what Limp Bizkit did to music in the late 90s.
TV shows,
This is the way.
This is the way.
and so much more.
JJ, what do you want to do tonight?
Off. We need to go on a quick adventure. Oh, wait. Hello there, people of the internet. How are you? This is Crashed While Loading, which you probably knew when you clicked on it or came over here, because it's written, like right there, where you're looking. Welcome to Crash While Loading. It's episode 17 on this, the day of our Lord, I don't know what, because terrible with dates, and honestly, it doesn't matter because you may not be listening to it on that date. We are, of course, recording on Monday again, not intentionally, just because time got away from me over the weekend, and that was kind of the whole point of doing this by myself. That way I can do it when I get off work on a Monday if I have to, even though I meant to do it on a Saturday and then a Sunday. Possibly last Friday. But who knows? Because I don't, and I'm terrible at, keeping promises to myself, mostly on account of, again, the laziness, which is prevalent in pretty much everything I do. Yeah. Flushing the toilets, mopping, cleaning the dogs, shaving the chickens. The usual things. Things you do around the house on a day-to-day basis. So, a lot of things went on this last week. Couple things I actually meant to hit last time and just forgot, lost my mind, or didn't write it down. Real quick, too, on the Star Wars stuff. I mentioned last episode there was a Star Wars open world thing kind of in the works. Now that the Ubisoft thing is over, it's not technically over. Technically, it's not over till, I don't know, sometime in 2023 is... not Ubisoft, but EA, Electronic Arts, 10-year agreement with Disney and all that stuff that only they could produce Star Wars games and things like that. So them announcing, the Lucasfilm games was 2 years in advance. Like, they can't release these games yet, but knowing that that's already over and coming, and they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's announce a whole bunch of stuff we're going to do that's not EA. And then they're still going to do certain things that they're good at. The Jedi Fallen Order was good, so probably EA is going to keep on going with those. But the one that was kind of exciting, and I knew it was important, but I couldn't remember why, was the kind of open world Ubisoft game that's going to be done by Massive Entertainment. And you may know Massive Entertainment, or you may not, is the makers of The Division, and The Division 2. Which, I like them. They're fun. I don't like, not a big fan of the games of service thing that's going on. Anthem, Destiny 2. I'm sure there's probably others, but those are the ones everyone will know. The Avengers, going into the same vein as Anthem. Oof, boy, were those BioWare. What happened to you? Seriously, you were the chosen one. You were what CD Projekt Red was before it released Cyberpunk. You had Mass Effect. You couldn't do wrong. And then you had Mass Effect Andromeda, and then it's just what who hurt you and why? I don't understand how they could fall. I guess it happens quite often. Rare was another one of those. They couldn't do anything wrong when they were working with Nintendo, and now their games aren't bad. They're not what they were. They're, Conquer and all that great stuff they did back then, Donkey Kong Country and things like that. It's just, meh, doesn't work out. But this one being done by Massive, makers of The Division, again, I like The Division. It's a good game. Graphically, it's the level of detail they put in to rebuilding the sections of New York that they did, or in the second one, the sections of, was it Washington? I want to say it was Washington. Yeah, it was Washington. D.C., not state, because everyone would be like, I don't know, what's in Washington? It depends on where you're at. It's either the Space Needle or farmland, and that's pretty much, the ocean, which you don't want to swim in because it's cold as shit, because it's the Pacific Ocean, and it's not a very warm ocean. At least not on that part of it, anyway. Sure doesn't feel like it to me. Even down in California. But it... Man, the thought of a open world Star Wars game done by Massive in the style of Division, even if I'm hoping they don't make it a game of service, because that would be, I'd still play it. I enjoyed the Division. I don't keep playing it. I know they're releasing more content, but the problem with the Division, like any of these kind of things, is everything's a bullet sponge. If some of the guys, they're in armor, but when you unload like 5 30-round magazines, they're not clips, they're magazines. Clips are totally different. Gun people know what I'm talking about. But the magazines, you do, so let's see, 5 times 30 is a lot. And the guy's still not dead, and you're getting all headshots, and sure, he's got armor and whatnot. It kind of takes you out of it. It does feel good. Combat and stuff like that is really strong. It's good. It's just the bullet sponginess. The story's not bad. They do pretty good with that, with the whole biological weapon. I think the first one was put on the money the day before Black Friday. Black Friday happens, money goes out there, and the world gets sick because, I don't know, reasons. And downfall of society, and it gets it's a Tom Clancy game. I don't know what else you want out of it. It's always the most is it possible? Yes. Likely? Not so much. No, not really. But so here's what I'm hoping for in a Star Wars open world game done by these guys is, believe it or not, no Jedi. I don't know if they're going to go in the same style as The Division, if the third person, over-the-shoulder thing, cover mechanics, things like that, they're good at it. It feels good. So if they do that, I'm hoping, even if they use an era where Jedi are around, like the High Republic, which is a kind of a new era 200 years before the Skywalkers, just finished the book. It was Light of the Jedi, was pretty good. It's a good jumping point. I know they've got a whole bunch of comics and stuff in line, but even if they did that when there's lots of Jedi, or they go to the Old Republic 2,000 years and there's even more Jedi, things like that, I can see in Star Wars the bullet sponginess makes more sense. Hear me out. I know. It's still bullet spongy, but bullet spongy being couched in the frame of, hey, it's not actually bullets, it's blasters. And hey, they've got, things like personal shields, or there's droids, or there's the armor plating and things like that. It kind of gives you a bigger sense, especially if they do it smart, which I think they would, because they did it on the big tanky guys in, I'm sorry, I'm looking for a drink. In The Division, like armor pieces would blow off of them and things like that to let you know that you were getting through their sponge, as it were called. But getting to see, like, chunks of a droid, come on, like the armor sheath off, or the power go out is on the personal shield, and then of course once the power's out, they're dead pretty quickly. But it took you a long time to get through the power of the shield. That kind of stuff would be cool. And as for the like the setting, the New York and Washington. If you've never played The Division, you don't know what I'm talking about. And if you have, even on the older systems like the old Xbox One X, or the Xbox One, I never got a One X. just looks so great. And on a computer, just fantastic. The level of detail that they put into those games is beyond compare, really. Just between piles of trash and the stories they could tell within the environment itself. So if we get to see like let's see, what was it, 1313, which was the canceled game that EA started and looked kind of Uncharted-like in a way, but Star Wars, and then it got canceled, so we never got it. It was disappointing. I'm sure it probably got canceled for a reason. They don't sink probably millions of dollars, if not tens of millions of dollars, into a project like that and get far enough where they can show video of it and then cancel it without a really good reason. We sort of kind of hope. I mean, I can't imagine how, like, hey, Bill in accounting says that this one's over budget by like $1 million. Well, what's it going to look like? Well, it looks good. Fans are really excited for it, but we're a little over budget. Yeah, you know what? Let's just cut our losses. There's no way we're going to recoup that. Shit like that just doesn't happen. But getting to see like the lower level, maybe they do it in the lower levels of Coruscant or Nar Shaddaa, maybe they'll make up their own planet because Star Wars is rife with them. Planets, not your own. Sorry, taking a drink. But it's kind of exciting. But again, they're just now starting these. I bet you they're just concepts. And most games, it's a 2 to 3 year development. We're not going to see any of this stuff. Like the Indiana Jones game, not seeing that for at least 2 years, which is also kind of a good thing. And you can hear me out, because we just started this console generation over again with the PS5 and the Series X. 2 years from now, they're going to know how to use those systems even better than they already do. I know that things like Miles Morales look amazing, but that's the beginner game. That's launch titles. They look amazing because of the jump in technology, which is getting less and less important as things go on, especially these days. I mean, a lot of times you can go without upgrading your phone from multiple generations or iterations of the phone. Like I'm on I'm a Galaxy S8 active, and it does just fine. I think they're up to a 10 or 11. I don't even know where they're at now. I have no real want or need to upgrade it, except for the fact that as happens with old age, the little port isn't quite as tight and holds things in as well as it used to. Kind of like a bladder. Not that I would know. Shush. Anyway. But that's what I'm hoping for. It would be really cool. I'm excited. Yeah, it's going to be, again, years, and hopefully the technology by then, they really are good at it. What was the other one? Speaking of Resident Evil 8, The Village is a next-gen kind of a game. Even though it's going to come out on PS4 and all that stuff, it's really, just a great-looking game. So, moving on from there, we'll move on to Resident Evil, kind of go into that same vein. The Resident Evil 6, the Village, because I only think they put that in there maybe just so they could put the VII thing in there. I don't know. I mean, it very reminiscent of Resident Evil 4, which also there was news on that. Apparently, the Resident Evil 4 remake is coming out. However, they've had to partially reboot their reboot. I guess there was some creative differences, so they had to half restart over on their remake, which is going to push that probably out a couple years too. But the cool trailer for Resident Evil 8, if you're able to watch that on like a high definition monitor or 4K, stuff like that, man, that game looks good. Just graphically, it looks amazing. It kind of sucks. The exclusivity demo, The Maiden, is PS5 only, and it's got no combat. It's just an escape room kind of a thing, or escape dungeon sort of a thing. Look like a dungeon. I might have to just watch somebody play through it on YouTube because I want to see it, but I'm not getting a PS5 anytime soon. Even if I could find it, I'd rather get the Series X. Just It seems like I'd get more out of that at this point. But the Resident Evil The Village, boy, in that what was the everyone's going crazy for like the 8-foot tall chick, vampire chick, for at least 2 good reasons. Most of them are up front. But also she looks cool. And the trailer was really neat. Just showing off just the level design of that mansion and the graphical capabilities of these new consoles. I don't think it's coming out on PC anytime soon that I remember. I probably should have looked that up beforehand. But whatever. Even if it does, I don't know if I'd want to play Resident Evil on a tiny, little monitor right here. That's something you play with the surround sound, dark room. I've always loved playing Resident Evils, like that. We played through 7 like that. Sib watched me through most of it until I got to the end, and she conked out and missed pretty much the entire ending. Spoiler alert, your character survives to be in Resident Evil 8. Why do you know that? Because it's all over the trailer. They say his name every 5 seconds. I don't know what the significance was, and honestly, the sad thing is I played through all of Resident Evil 7. I didn't remember that the guy's name was whatever it was. Ethan Ethan Storm, Ethan Wintersbane. I can't even remember what his name was. Pretty sure it was Ethan something, but I didn't remember that. It was like irrelevant to the story. So, but it looks awesome. You're looking for your daughter, or like a little baby or something. First trailer they put out, Chris Redfield apparently puts like a couple bullets in your wife's head, because why wouldn't Chris Redfield do that out of absolutely nowhere for no reason that we know of? I'm sure there's a perfectly good Resident Evil reason. Don't know what it is. No idea. No, so. But that's, and the date coming out in May, too. So we're only, the end of we're 4 months away, give or take, which is kind of cool that they've, we knew it was coming, but it's always nice. I like when the games are doing this more and more now. There's a few of them like what they just did with Elder Scrolls. They show us that tiny little teaser. I think that was just them covering their ass because of all the crap they were getting from 76. Only to find out recently that they're like, yeah, our merger with Microsoft gives us technology to finally start making the game. Wait, what? What was that again? Oh, yeah. No, we're way along in it. NPC technology is really behind. So, but yeah, apparently there was stuff like that. I just, games announcing that they're coming out, and then it's years before they ever show up again. I don't mind, like, we all knew Elder Scrolls was coming out. That's not a surprise. But, like, I don't know. I like that Resident Evil, we knew it was coming, but it's not like the end of the year. It's 4 months from now, which is super cool. I forget, Nintendo's really good at that, too. They're like, hey, and by the way, they'll show us the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, finally, other than the first one they did now 2 years ago. Whatever, I can almost guarantee you the next Breath of the Wild 2 trailer we get, it'll be like, and it's coming out in a month, kind of a thing, or a couple months. It won't be that long by the time they show the trailer. I just wish video games would do that more. Some of them don't need all this hype, like Cyberpunk. Didn't need all that. It actually, in fact, I think it ended up hurting it in the end, because the hype train it's a very real thing. It's a very real physical train, and it will run you over if you let it get out of hand, especially if you release your game in an unfinished state. CD Projekt Red. You poor bastards. So, yeah, Resident Evil, I'm super excited. I've been a fan since the very first one. I don't think there's one I haven't played and beat, even the crappy 5 and 6. Which I think Sib and I played together, actually, if I remember right. Problem was, they were fun. It was fun playing with her, but they weren't all that memorable as a game. I remember one had Redfield in it, and then another chick, and I don't even remember what the other one was, who you were playing. So it goes goes to show how great that was. Another thing too. This was kind of cute, actually. I'm laughing at myself because I'm trying to get the damn thing to open up. So WandaVision's out. I haven't watched the third episode. Hopefully, actually, I think Sib and I will probably watch that tonight if we don't play Halo, which I've kind of been excited to go through and play the Master Chief Collection. But apparently, they actually had on WandaVision, they had Dick Van Dyke was a consultant, kind of, on the show, which, given the eras that they're going through time-wise, I mean, he's the perfect guy. I mean, he's Dick Van Dyke. He was one of the grandfathers of that kind of a sitcom. You know, the goofy tripping over stuff. Oh, I'm so clumsy. Oh, Meredith. Oh, shucks. You know, that whole kind of shtick. But apparently, when they were having the consulting meeting with him when they started out, there was who is this guy? Shakeman. I'm gonna call him Shakeman. Seems like it, but they were sitting down and they were talking, and Shakeman said, "We did not give him the explanation, and he didn't seem too fluent in the MCU. It was great. He did say at one point during our lunch, 'Oh, I hear you guys have had some great success. That's wonderful. Congratulations. What did you just put out?' And Kevin Feige, who's great, obviously, and is a mastermind and incredible creative endeavor. This is still Shakeman talking. That's had so much success. Said, well, yes. Well, we put out the Avengers Endgame, and Dick Van Dyke was like, 'Oh, Avengers Endgame. Oh, that's great, fantastic.' You could tell he's in his 90s now. He's like, 'Oh yeah, sure, that's a great thing.' And Kevin Feige says, 'Yep, it's actually the biggest movie of all time.' 'Oh, that's great. Wait, what? Biggest movie of all time?' And he's consulting on this. It's this whole thing that we're all totally into, and he's just living his own life. You know, good for Dick Van Dyke. He doesn't need watching all. I'm sure he's just an old-timey guy. But I thought it was actually kind of cute and adorable. The way that this multi-billion-dollar franchise that was basically dominating the box office every time they released a movie up until COVID came out. And he's just like, Yeah, no, I never heard of it. What's that? Nah, I don't know. Hopefully he wasn't one of those I don't own a TV kind of guys. I seriously doubt it, given that he's, the grandfather of most of that. But I don't know. I thought it was cute. It's a nice little thing, to be honest with you. And another quick thing here, and I say quick, it won't be. I saw this posted from Ericus, who is our Canadian ambassador on the show, friend of the podcast, and he sent a link to a guy on YouTube named MMO Byte, B-Y-T-E. I think I've heard of him. I've actually, because I clicked on this, now obviously, of course, he's popping up in my feed constantly, because that's what happens on YouTube. Even though I didn't click to follow him, you click on one thing on there, and all of a sudden, that's like, it's like, you know what it's like when you click on something on YouTube that you don't usually click on. It's like the one time I told my grandma that I liked the Tasmanian Devil from Looney Tunes. And for the next 7 years, yeah, you guessed it, for everything, I got something with the Tasmanian Devil on it, be it a hat or a t-shirt or a keychain when I couldn't drive, which, I love you, Mom Mary, but that was a little weird. And she's also gone. Love you, Mima. It was a lot like that. So every time you click on YouTube, you click on one thing, and some of it's good. I mean, I actually watched MMO Byte's top 10 MMOs that were coming out, or that you could play already this year, even though 2 of them technically you could, but you had to play them on the foreign servers, like in Korea or something like that, or Russia, and they weren't out here in the States yet. But I'm giving him the thing because that's where I first watched this, and then I did my own kind of research into it. So apparently, in Star Trek Online, which is your first problem, stop. That's just a terrible game. But this guy he's been a veteran of Star Trek Online. He's been playing for 10 years since the game came out. He's a fan, you know, and I get it. I've played MMOs. I don't think I've ever had one I've played that long. I've played in the EverQuest world that long, but that was over the span of 1 and 2. But so he plays that. Doesn't have the lifetime sub, which is $200. I think in this case it was euros, 200 euros. And they banned him in the end for it in a roundabout way. But the customer and technical support were extremely unhelpful and they just did the same generic, we don't give a shit, you're just a pile of money, you're just a wallet that has an email address kind of a thing. Now, this does end up having a happy ending, but before we get to that part right now, let's go through the shit this poor guy had to go through. Is a Norwegian Redditor named Matt Pauley. This is the guy that ends up getting banned. And I'm reading here a bit off of between the Reddit and off of Massively Overpowered. That he got for Christmas, his girlfriend bought him the lifetime subscription. And now with the lifetime subscription, there's a couple of things that come with that. There's little goodies that you get. One of those was additional shared bank slots. And for some reason, they didn't apply it. I've seen some people in the Reddit said, like, well, if you bought them and they're maxed out, then they wouldn't do that. But it doesn't sound like this was Matt Pauley's problem. It's just that they bought it, they didn't get it, and that was that. And so he contacted support, and of course support was like, well, we've already given you your benefits, and there's nothing that we can do. It's like, well, you gave me most of the benefits, but you didn't give me all of them. You know, for the $200 we just gave you to give us something digitally in return, it's still a transaction. You need to keep your end of the bargain up. So he responded to that, had complete screenshots, corroborated his story, showed, you know, like, hey, I still got bank slots available that can be unlocked. I can still, you know, you need to keep up your end of the bargain. Because 10 years, he's already unlocked a lot of this stuff. He's paid real world money for a lot of things as he's gone along. And then they get shitty, right? It's already so great. He then submitted a third ticket asking to either have the issue fixed or have his lifetime subscription refunded, which earned the reply that, quote, attempts on his part to get our... hey, thank you, Sweet Dash Rex. Attempts on his part to get his money back would have serious repercussions to his account. Now that... I don't know about you, but when I read that, I kind of take that as a slight threat. That sounds slightly threatening. A little bit. Yeah. So he followed that up. He followed up. He had he's in the Norwege. He's from Norway. He's from the Norwege area of the Europa. But, yeah, he's following advice from a lawyer based here in the States. Matt Pauley sent Cryptic a formal letter of the complaint asking for a refund and to be contacted with the situation within 7 days or face legal actions. So, here's what they responded. After further review, we've granted a refund to your account. However, the account has been banned. The refund will be visible in 5 to 7 business days. Feel free to contact us, again, if you have any further questions. Yeah. Why are you banning me, jackass? You didn't hold up your end of the bargain. Thanks for playing. Regards, GM Dragon Ash, Senior Game Manager. What a stand-up guy that guy is. Clearly, they probably didn't pay any attention. They didn't really want to bother with it, so they just... refused to or refunded this guy's money and gave him a middle finger and told him to go fuck himself, basically. Yeah. And let's see here. So he's, Yeah. A lot of people did urge him to reach out to Ambassador Kale, and this is where the good ending, or this is where the happy ending starts to come in. So, and it says here, I think this part here is from Matt. It says, at this point, my account matters less and less due to the thought of having such a bad, unpredictable support system in place. This would always be in the back of my mind. Even starting a brand new one free account, or a brand new one free account, I'm just reading it as it's written, could be preferable. Ironically enough, I'm sure if I had bought Lifetime for a new account, all the rewards would have been there without issue. The other side of this is the love for Trek, regardless of developers, publishers, etc. That stings, and it does. I can only imagine if I'd been at the heyday of EverQuest and stuff like that, and I bought, I've been supporting it, I've been throwing money at them, and then I buy a Lifetime sub, and everybody else, they got all their stuff, and I didn't, even though I've been supporting it longer than the newbies that just come in. That's kind of a crap deal. So let's go to the good news. So apparently, this Ambassador Kale has worked with the CS team and posted this. Good news, everybody. No, actually, it does say good news on the Lifetime account. It says, hey, folks, CS and I just finished our investigation, and I lost my spot. Finished our investigation and admitted that their error and returned the account to Matt Pauley. Should be ready to go, and but obviously let me know if it doesn't work. Again, apologies for this taking a hot minute. I started the process the day he read the thread, so this guy's good. I mean, this welcome back, Matt. Blah 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 blah. So this Ambassador Kale got it taken care of. They reinstated his account. They're gonna give him the Lifetime sub thing again. Honestly, hopefully they're not making him pay for it, because at this point, just for the headache of it, they should give it to him for free, at least on my account, as far as I'm concerned, because that's. You don't. Here's the thing. I'm glad it worked out for this guy. I really am. I love MMOs. They're one of my favorite genres, which is unfortunate because it's just a shit show lately. Nah, with the way things have been going out. But to put that much time and effort into a video game, something you clearly have to love and like a lot. And, I mean, I don't think he's even a role player. I like to role play. I create the characters and we play them out with my friends as if they were an actual person in that world, which is a lot of fun, like D&D. And even without that, you still love that stuff. So the fact that the only reason this got fixed is because he posted this on Reddit, and it got a big stink, and it got articles from Massively. It got a guy from MMO Byte hit my radar because I'm big on MMOs and I don't like that stuff. I'm glad it got taken care of, but I still don't think the Ambassador Kale does, because he did good. That's a good guy. He's somebody that does his job and does it well and is willing to spend the time. And I'm glad that it got to his attention. But the fact of the matter is, this other guy, what was it? The GM Dragon Ash, Senior Game Master, he didn't give a shit. He's a piece of crap. Plain and simple. He should have paid more attention. He should have actually looked at his customers, because that's what you are when you're paying an MMO. What they do and what they take, the direction they take the game is theirs, but you are a customer paying for a service all the same. And when they promise you something and you exchange good or money for goods or services, you're supposed to get that back. And you're supposed to keep up that end. So this guy didn't give a crap. He's basically phoning his job in. And until Ambassador Kale comes, victoriously, comes through and fixes this, because he spent, 5 minutes to read through the Reddit thread and be like, oh, yeah, wow, we are just the worst people. Shouldn't have done that. Really should have probably paid more attention. Hopefully there was a lot of internal memos and they can do better the next time something like this happens. And given from the Reddit thread I was looking through, he's not alone, and most of the others just didn't keep pushing on it like he wanted what he was owed, which, good for him. He deserved it. But a lot of other people, they didn't get their bank slots or whatever else there was too, their shared slots, and they just let it go. which I can get that. I mean, sometimes it's not worth fighting for some people, but that's still not always the best way to go it. Yeah. And the comments are great too. Man, I'd be absolutely Fox Guy 2001. Man, I'd be livid after investing nearly a decade, then going a lifetime, and after making significant effort to get support for issues, get banned. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So, and then there's a bunch of people telling them to reach out to Ambassador Kale. So, in the end, it turned out well, but the fact that this guy had to go through that, and you can't tell me that something like this doesn't taint your view of wanting to play that again. I mean, you think something's going to come up on the cash shop and he's going to be like, yeah, I feel like throwing money at that now. I kind of doubt it. I know I wouldn't. I'd be real leery of that now. So, all's well that ends well. At the same time, Cryptic, you guys, you really got to step up your shit. So in other news, and I say other news, there's absolutely no news on it other than there's news. HBO is going to make a Harry Potter series, like a show, like Lovecraft Country and things like that. That's all we know. We have no idea. No info. There's no characters. There's no cast. There's no director. There's no real time frame. They just announced they're going to do it. What's that mean? I don't know. I'm pretty sure I know what everyone's hoping for. Harry Potter horror series would be awesome, with actual Daniel Radcliffe taking on the role of Harry Potter, and in between the end of Deathly Hallows and the jump to when he's pushing his kid off on the train to the Hogwarts Express for the first time. Like, that in-between period would be really cool. I guess actually, they could do it after that too. Although the aging effect, they always over age people, because I can guarantee you by the time they did this, if they use Ratcliffe, he'll probably be about the age that he was supposed to be at the end of Deathly Hallows, and I can guarantee you he won't have nearly as many wrinkles and stuff as they gave him. Look at the old Star Treks. Anytime they aged, went to the future with old Picard, they made Patrick Stewart look like Clayface off of Batman. He's just got all this extra skin. He's like a Sharpay kind of a face. It's just all melty. And that's not what Patrick Stewart looks like at all. And he's the age he would have been in like those things. And he's not all rickety and old and anything like that. He's still very coherent and very good at what he does. And he looks great. So they're always terrible at aging those things, is what I'm getting at. They always the makeup they always go too far, and I don't know. I'd love it, especially the movie. I would have settled for a Harry Potter movie with him being an Auror, but a TV show I think would be so much better because you could really, really drag it out. Sweet Dash Rex says Harry and Luna solving cold case murders. That actually would be really badass. That'd be really, really cool. Yeah, Luna Lovegood, she was a good character too. And she's another one, I think. Yeah, they aged her up too, and it's like, no. Yeah, right, Dare to Dream. But it's just that would be so cool. Or I don't know, I'd rather it be like in the future, like modern, quote unquote modern day, after the fall of Voldemort and all that, cuz I'm not real big on the Fantastic Beast stuff. I want to like it, but it's fundamentally missing something magical, and I understand what that sounds like, but it doesn't strike a chord with me for some reason. It's all adults, they're always so serious. Except for the one fat guy that's the fat Muggle guy. He's the comedy relief. He's the Ron of the group without having the charm of Ron. He's just like, yeah, I'm a Muggle and I don't know what's going on. Do magic cases. I'm gonna go down the stairs in a suitcase. And I like the actor. He's fine. It's just there's something And the Johnny Depp thing now, him losing his job because his, crazy wife made things up and then, beats the crap out of him. And she gets to keep her job, but for some reason he lost his. Even though I'm not a fan of him being Grindelwald, I think they should have picked anybody but him because he's just playing Johnny Depp as Grindelwald. And as Captain Jack Sparrow. And as Willy Wonka. It's basically every character he's played since Tim Burton got a hold of him. It's just all the same stuff. I forget where I was. Oh, yeah, Harry Potter. But, yeah, I anything after Voldemort I think would be the best route. Hopefully that's the route they'll go. No more going back in time. No more prequel crap. Leave that to the movies. If that even gets a finish. I think that they will just because of the money they've thrown at it. It's the gambler's fallacy, or the next one the luck's got to turn sooner or later, right? eventually I'll roll a 7. Yeah, no, you probably won't. No, but they also can't leave a series like that just hanging. So now they've got was it Matt Mikkels? I can never pronounce the dude's name. You know who I'm talking about. First, they were rumored, then he said, no, it's not, and then, of course, they confirmed that Mads Mikkelsen will, of course, be taking over Johnny Depp in those movies, which is good. I love that guy. He's fantastic, but, who knows what we'll see. It's probably going to be, if they're just now announcing it and they don't have any of that stuff, putting into line COVID and getting everything going, I bet you it's probably another 2 years, maybe 3, before we see that HBO Harry Potter series. That's my guess. And I'm always right on these things. You can check my record because I have no record. And it's really easy to check. You just have to take my word for it because I don't have a record. Not enough time has passed yet to make one. So in 2 years from now, you can come back to me and be like, see, you were wrong. It was out 2 years from now, which would be 5 years for those of you keeping track. All right, moving on. Xbox Live is going to increase. Wait, hold on. Getting Xbox Live's going up. Okay. No, hold on. The people are angry. They're canceling their Xbox Live subscriptions because it's on par with Game Pass. Okay. Never mind. Turns out Xbox Live is not increasing. Yeah, it was basically that fast. It was just, we're going to increase the price of Xbox Live. Rubber. Never mind. No, that's a very good point. All the rabbling. All the rabbling made a very, very good point. And let's see. Sweet Dash in the chat said, I could see this going really well or really poorly, right? And I think the Death Eaters should be a problem, but not the main villains. You know what? That's actually good. Yeah, because the remainder of the Death Eaters that were still out there, or sympathizers even, would be good. Would be a good, they had to clean that up. Doesn't just because Voldemort's dead doesn't mean they're like, you know what? I no longer want to take over the world and think, Muggle supremacy or wizard supremacy over Muggles is the way to go. Doesn't work like that. Don't believe me? Look at Nazis. Yeah, Hitler lost. Still around. We're still messing with that problem. Don't believe me? Look at Mother Russia. Yes. Soviet wall went down. Communism.
And there was much rejoicing.
Thank you, Dyer, for the subscription. Appreciate that. And the villagers rejoiced. Yay. So it's just, these things don't go around. So that would be really, they'd have to be at least a background, like maybe, like if you had them, like they could be some of them could be like reoccurring villains. Like they pop up like a whack-a-mole and Harry, and I'm just going with Sweet Dash's list thing here. It's that Harry and Luna, is the tag team duo, and because she would just bring such a crazy, funny, whimsical bit to any show that they would do. That they have to, oh no, somebody's stapled monster. What was the monster book? Oh my gosh, I can't remember that now. Anyway, you got the one that tried to eat Harry out of, and he was hiding on his bed trying to get away from it. The Book of Monsters, I think it was. The book about monsters. Where the Wild Things Are. Okay, so when he was hiding from Where the Wild Things Are, and, someone's stapling those to muggles or something like that, and they have to catch the guy. That's the series. That's what I want now. I just want that. That's all I want. So, all right. And moving on. I think somebody, it was Ericus, mentioned the High Republic, going on to Star Wars again, or back to Star Wars, but this isn't video games. This is books. This is something I actually probably intend to do. I need to start paying attention. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and if you don't listen to audiobooks, you're missing out. I understand not everybody has maybe a job or the time that they might be able to listen to it, but not everybody has time to read either. I, for example, don't like to read. I mean, I read, and I can read. I can read. I mean, a couple words like the are a little out of my range of understanding. But I do have, with my job, I work for the post office, and I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I think, oh God, I'm going to embarrass myself and actually look this up live on the show. Let's see, where's Audible? Which, by the way, audible.com. If you don't use it, you should. Not a promotion to be paid. I don't get paid to promote it, but it's a fucking great service. I've been on it for years and years and years. And how do I find how many I have? Let's see. Collections. Nope, that's not it. I'm trying to find out how many I have. There's somewhere in here. I know at last check, I think I have over 500 audiobooks. Yeah, a lot. Right now, I'm actually listening to Firefly, Big Damn Hero, book 1 of 3. I didn't even have to pay for it. It just was for free. And it's good. I miss Firefly, and it's actually kind of fun because it takes place, at least the first books takes place in between episodes of the show. Like, it's a side adventure that you could have easily been done, and the guy that does it the narrator is James Anderson Foster, who does a surprisingly good Malcolm Reynolds, Nathan Fillion, and he also, that's why I knew him. Is that him? Yeah, that is him. He also narrates one of the other series I really like, which is Chris Philbrook's Adrian's Undead Diary. He narrates that as well, and that's if you like zombies, Chris Philbrook's Adrian's Undead Diary. Highly recommend it. Also, my favorite one of all time, again, zombies, Mark Tufo, Zombie Fallout, because that's funny and it's zombies. So imagine the main character, Mike Talbot. He's a germaphobe, right? Okay, in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, and it's funny. It's surprisingly, it gets real deep, and a lot of times, and things go crazy, and there's a lot of other supernatural things, and there's a whole bit where he does other books using Michael Talbot, but they're like alternates of him, like other realities. Like, it's the same kind of guy, just in a totally different situation. Same character in a totally different situation. So, yes. Dresden Files, absolutely. Sweet Dash mentioned that in the chat, and that is one of my all-time favorites. I forgot even. Oh, yeah, it was on the Old Republic. But since we're down this rabbit hole, let's go for it. Recently, my wife and I have listened to Red Rising, which is a series by Pierce Brown. And it's like Hunger Games meets Game of Thrones in a lot of ways. Just with a lot less calling people the C word, I suppose. It was Zombie Fallout is the one with by Mark Tufo. I know it's kind of a dumb name for a series, but congratulations, you just came into a series that has 15 books. So you've got a lot of catching up to do, and it's worth every bit of it. And then he's also got offshoots, like there's a smaller series that he does that takes place during the Zombie Fallout stuff called The Book of Riley. And The Book of Riley follows a dog. you follow the zombie apocalypse through the eyes of the pit bull, female pit bull, Riley. And it's fantastic. They're talking about they've got little Ben, who is a Yorkie, who loves floor fries and bacon, obviously. It's just, I'll ramble on and on about that stuff. Mark Tufo, and he's on Facebook, and he's got a Mark Tufo group. He interacts with his fans. He's a really cool guy. Same with Chris Philbrook. My friends actually reached out because his book takes place of him at a college up in the Northeast, and they were trying to figure out where it was, and they actually reached out to him, and he's done a lot of books. I mean, Adrian's Undead Diaries has like 14, 15, 16 books too. And he was like just blown away that, a bunch of 30 something year olds were trying to figure out where in the actual real world his books were taking place. Because he mentions, I think it's just up in the Northeast, like Maine and things like that. But it's not an actual location. He didn't base it off of something in the real world. And he just was like, he told him, he's like, I'm just blown away that people have actually sat around discussing my books in such a way like that. He's like, I can't tell you how flattered I am, which is super cool. For a lot of these, especially these kinds of authors, they're real grounded. That's what I like about Dresden Files. And I just went Jim Butcher. I actually got to meet him. He came here to Oklahoma because he's an alumni from, I think it was, now I'm going to embarrass myself, OU, OSU, something like that. And so he came here to Oklahoma, talked at NSU, which is not far from where I'm at. And he was supposed to read like a chapter of the newest book at the time, which had been years ago because Dresden Files took like a 6-7 year break between books, which was crazy since they were almost coming out every year at a year and a half time period. And he was supposed to read out of the new book like a chapter, the last book. And he's like, I mean, you guys have already read it, right? If you want me to, I'll read it, but you already know the story. Well, they say we just answer questions for an hour and a half. And he's like, so we just asked him questions for an hour and a half, and it was fascinating how he came up with all the stuff to write those books, and how the potions worked, and the spirit and will of the channeling the magic. He basically took a lot of quote unquote real world. He read a lot of books from the real world base of magic and just took out all the junk that was superfluous, that wasn't needed, that would just muddy the story, and just focused on that stuff. But anyway, so I'll have to just do a whole thing on audiobooks sometime. But the new Star Wars High Republic series, Light of the Jedi, it kind of starts with that. That's the first book in this. It's read by Mark Thompson, who, if you've listened to any Star Wars audiobooks, is absolutely fantastic at it. He does a great Han Solo. He does a great Princess Leia. He did great Luke Skywalker. He nails the voices of these characters, especially the established ones. His Grand Admiral Thrawn, with the new books, like the Thrawn Ascendancy and things like that, that Timothy Zahn is doing. He went after, he watched the guy that did the voice of Thrawn in the Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, and mimicked it. I mean, as close as you can possibly get as somebody else that's not the actual guy that voiced it, and it's fantastic. He does a great job on every time he does Star Wars. He's my go-to Star Wars narrator. So I need to catch up my breath here for a second. Yammering on like that, I can tell I get a little excited. I like the Star Wars. There's the wars, and there's in the stars, and I like them a lot. But this High Republic stuff is going to take place in what they're calling it the Golden Age. It's 200 years before the Skywalkers and all that stuff, at the height of both the Republic and the Jedi Order in a lot of ways. And that's kind of why I really like it. I mean, for the first book anyway, I mean, they could still screw it up. It's really good. I'm glad they said it's not necessarily the Old Republic, but it doesn't need to be the Old Republic. Old Republic was like 2,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. That's pretty far back. This one, it's 200 years before that. It's got Yoda in it, or it will. They mention Yoda several times. He's already on the Jedi Council. He's not running it, but he is on it. In this book, he's like on a sabbatical teaching younglings, so he's not actually in it beyond, he doesn't actually talk or do anything. I guess that could be spoilers, but if you're spending the whole book like I was waiting for Yoda to show up, at least you can put that for your rest. But the rest of it was real good. It all starts out with there's an accident in hyperspace, and something happens, and it basically threatens an entire system with it's multiple systems, actually, with the chunks of this thing falling out of hyperspace. And as it falls out of hyperspace, the physical pieces are going near the speed of light, obviously, because in the real space, you can't go the speed of light, because it's what hyperspace is for. But something going even near the speed of light with physical mass and force like that, basically when it comes into something else of physical mass and force, it just vaporizes everything into atoms. And that's kind of, I don't know if you're aware of this, not a good thing. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. That's right. So it was a good start. You get to meet a lot of Jedi. They were they're all new, other than their mention of Yoda. All the characters are new. They're starting from scratch, which is kind of a cool thing. They're not all Jedi. Some of them are. They've got some like pilots and things like that in there. But it is kind of neat to see how the Jedi were here. Because honestly, the way the Jedi are in this, even though it's even just 200 years separated from the ones we see in like the Phantom Menace and Clone Wars, these are not those same Jedi. They're totally different. They're on a completely different level. One cool thing is they don't call it battle meditation, but battle meditation is now canon, since everything now that comes out for Star Wars after the Disney acquisition is canon. Unfortunately, thank you, Rian Johnson, for the Holdo maneuver, which shows how little you actually understood of Star Wars. Because if we could just constantly do things smash into things in a ship going light speed, as if it was in real space, we wouldn't really have much of a Star War. It would just be people like, punch it, Chewie, and they slam into the planet, and the planet dies, and that's the end of it, because that's what would happen. But I'm not a fan of Rian Johnson, so as you can see, it's only one book. I know there's comics and shit like that coming out. There's another book out, but I don't know if I'm not really willing to pay for it just yet, because while it is in the High Republic, it's like a 4-hour book, and I'm not willing to spend like a $15 credit or spend $14 on 4 hours worth of audiobook. That's kind of a hard no. But Ericus had mentioned that, and I wanted to just touch on it. I think the High Republic is actually going to be good. I could almost guarantee you one of these new games that Lucasfilms Games is coming out with. I would bet honest money that one of them is going to be set in the High Republic and with Jedi and stuff like that. I don't know what. I don't know who is going to make it, but someone will do it. They're putting way too much time and effort into this. There's already a trilogy of books for after, let's see here. Click on that. They have, the next one is The Rising Storm of the High Republic, and then Into the Dark, I think, is another one, it looks like. And then there's the other one that's out, is called The Test of Courage, but it's a 4.5-hour thing. And I think it's a kid's book, but still. I'd read it if it didn't cost me 1 credit or $15, because both of them are about the same, and I'm not really willing to spend a credit on that from Audible. But, keep your eye on the High Republic. If you like that kind of stuff, definitely go for it. And last but not least, before we end the show here, because we're going to try to keep this to 30 minutes to an hour. I don't need to go longer than that, really. I don't think so. But cocaine hippos. I know what you're thinking. What? Yeah. Cocaine hippos. That's what we've got now. This could only happen. Of course, it started in the 90s. But apparently, scientists are now warning of the ecological disasters being posed in Colombia's tropics due to a roaming herd of wild hippos. Now, why are they called cocaine hippos? Well, that is a very good question. It is not how I initially thought because of the title. They're all high on cocaine, which would have been even more terrifying because, believe it or not, the Jungle Tour at Disneyland is right. Hippos are horrible, and they're responsible for more deaths than like alligators and sharks pretty much combined where they're at. They're terrible, terrible man-killing machines. They're not very friendly. They're cute. And like the video of the little baby hippo in the little kiddie pool, adorable until it grows up into a child-eating monster. Yeah, that's how that happens. Adorable little baby hippo, little tail. Or that one gif of the one just shitting and flapping his tail as it flies everywhere at the zoo towards the people. Because, frankly, that's what I do if people are watching me all day long. But the cocaine hippos came about because of drug lord, you guessed it, Pablo Escobar. The drug lord that keeps on giving, even in death. Apparently, Escobar... he brought hippos in, and then biology happened. So, according to this, when Escobar was killed in a shootout with the police in 1993, his 7,000-acre Playboy estate was seized by the government and is also now an amusement park, which, that's government for you. Let's take the drug guys. This is really nice. You know what we should do? We should turn it into a zoo and charge admission. Who's the real thief now? Yeah. Anyway, this had a personal zoo where he had 4 hippos. And those 4 hippos, and again, in utter government competence, escaped. And hippos being hippos, they multiplied. And now it's a herd of 80 to 100 hippos, wreaking havoc on local wildlife. Now, hippos are not small. So, 80 to 100 hippos. I love that they had to estimate it. They can't be like, just count from above. They're just that many of them, I guess, and they do go in water. They're like graceful little ballets, chunky little underwater ballerinas. Ballets. Wow. Ballerinas. You can tell towards the end of the show, my brain just starts to... But anyway, so the environmentalists warn that the exponential increase is about to happen, and the herd could multiply by over 2,400 in the next 4 years alone. So they're going to go from 80 to 2,400. That is a lot of hippo loving. That is a whole lot of hippo loving. And I know no one ever thought to call a gaming or tune into a gaming podcast and learn about hippo humping, but here we are. We're at hippo humping. So yeah, apparently they were hoping that they could somehow. Because by the way, this is probably not going to end well. And honestly, I'm looking at you, Australia. This is going to be like the Emu Wars. I don't see this going well for Ecuador and Colombia and all that, and Venezuela. Because they were initially going to just try to sterilize the hippos so that, they just die off, meanwhile wreaking havoc on the environment. That, however, seems like it is not going to be a possibility. And they're going to have to call them. And probably for good reason, because if they keep going like this, apparently they can live in South America really well. And right now they're already pretty big, and they're estimating by 2030 they could be all the way from Ecuador, Colombia to Venezuela, basically from one side of the coast to the other. And if they keep going, 2050 they could be all the way up into Mexico and down into like Brazil and everything like that. So yeah, kind of a hippopocalypse is what's going to happen. And from there, they'll probably move on to Naboo and Coruscant and go from there. But so yeah, we got cocaine hippos to worry about. 2020, the gift that keeps on giving, into 2021. That's just how things are going to go this year. It's never going to end. It's just going to keep going. Yeah, that's it. That's all there is. That's all I have. Hopefully there'll be a lot of good news, a lot of interesting things coming out the next week. Hopefully this time I won't have to record it, middle of the day on Monday. I can actually do it on a Saturday or Sunday. If you are listening live, I appreciate that. Dire, Sweet-Rex, thank you both for following and the subscribing. Appreciate it. And remember, twitch.tv. I keep saying and my brain's slowly shutting down as my coffee wears off. But twitch.tv/crashwhiloloading. If you want to talk to us during the week, or if there's links and things you want to hear me talk about, or just bring to the attention of other fellow people like yourself and myself, at twitch.tv/crashwhiloloading, there is a link to our Discord server. Join us there. You can link whatever you want there, as long as it's appropriate. Don't be inappropriate. And when I say appropriate, I mean if it's funny, we'll talk. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, the Discord server has a news and junk section. Feel free to put it up there. Love to talk to people during the week. I share stupid memes. We talk about video games and stuff if anybody wants to. Audiobooks seem to be very popular. I'll definitely be doing more of that, because I had the thought the other week. It's like, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I should probably talk about audiobooks. It's a big part of what I do and know. So with that, I want to thank everybody. Appreciate you for tuning in. Remember, you can download it as a podcast anywhere podcasts are sold for free. If you're paying for a podcast, stop. It's a podcast. You shouldn't be paying for it. With that, I appreciate it, and I still have a way of exiting the show, so go away. Just stop. Just go on. Do something else. Bye-bye. Shoot. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his latest video game rock covers and original music. Good night, everybody.